Howdy, y'all. My name is Price. I'm coming at you with some more Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. And today, well, I got some news. Boom! That's right, 1001%. Basically, the other day I was playing around and I happened to get a Sun card and the Blank card. I was able to get my Blinding Baby, and as you know, that was the last possible thing I needed to get. And so I am done. 1001%. That means we can now do whatever we like. That also kind of means it's like, what do I do now? What do I do? So, as you can see here where it says continue, I had already recorded 40 minutes worth of a run as Eden, made it down to Utero 1, and I got a phone call in the middle of it. But beyond that, it was the slowest, most low-damagiest, most frustrating run of all time. So I was like, you know what? I think that's a sign we're not meant to do Eden today. So then I had to go to work, and then I came back home, and now I'm recording this one now. So I decided maybe we'll go for one of my other favorite characters. We're going to go for Samson. Samson's a little more reliable than Eden for a solid run, and I love being able to exploit his ability in order to get me going. Now, as I said, this is later in the day rather than early in the morning when I usually play, so I can already tell I'm less in my focus than usual, and that's just kind of how it goes this time of day for me. Juicy Sack's not a bad item. You know, I already burned through all my caffeine and my energy. I just had to eat something real fast, so my body's like trying to digest and everything. So of course I'm just like, I'm like a downed mule. So just know that. Bear that in mind if my skills aren't up to 100% snuff. Would love a bomb. Ooh, I'll take the nickel to get this tinted rock. That would be wonderful. Okay, more money. I mean, if we got a key, I'd be willing to possibly go into that shop there. See what it's got for us. All right, get him, my little spider babbies. There we go. Let's go see what's here. Hoping for small rock, but if it's also soul hearts, that's also fine. Haha, yeah. There we go. That's a good way to start this off. Feeling much better. So last run, I did some more of my psychology ramblings, and you guys actually seemed to enjoy that, which I think is great. I love teaching. I love psychology, so being able to combine those things with my video game loving, it's just kind of like, hey, Price, all your favorite things, you want to do them all at once? And I'm like, that sounds great. So I may, as we get a little bit further on into this, continue my ramblings of a psychological nature. Now, I want to go this way because there is always the chance that we have a curse room on the first floor. Nope, just self-sacrifice room. I'd be willing to lose a heart here, mostly because I'll get the damage up bonus. And, you know, there's always a small chance something happens. Nope, nothing. That's fine, though. Got some damage. That'll help us clear through this boss a little bit quicker. And then be on our merry way to the next floor. Would have liked to have gotten a key at some point here, but, you know, you take what you get. All right, Duke, you in trouble, boy. You in trouble. Okay. So, in the comments, y'all left me some seeds. I haven't checked them yet. Like, I haven't gone and looked into those seeds. And I would like to just get kind of a general feel for how people feel about seeded runs. Like, part of me, I remember when I did it the first time, people were kind of anti-seed. So I just want to keep that in mind as far as that. All right, let's go on to the next floor. No spirit heart, so that's too bad. It would be nice to have that to protect our devil chance, but we can should still be fine. Oh, shit. Okay, come at me, bro. So, you guys, like I said, you seem to have been interested in the psychology talk that I had, and some of y'all, I guess we'll take that. Some of y'all even asked me, like, specific questions, which I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. I'm really, like, super cool about that. So one topic that came up that someone was interested in was that of depression and anxiety, which I totally get. That is something that affects probably a lot of you out there. Myself personally, I'm not diagnosed, but I do have a little bit of anxiety issues. I know that it's a common thing that I find amongst gamers, is struggling with those kinds of issues. Oftentimes, I think that's why we turn towards gaming, is like as a way of kind of providing ourselves a kind of a safe way of dealing with that. Let's check our item room first. Ugh, best friend. Well, we will probably use Best Friend to try and blow something up at some point. So let's hold on to Yumheart. And we'll just see if we come across any tinted rocks, we'll use Best Friend. Otherwise, we'll use them to blow up one of these pots. So, the other thing that you noted in that comment, I'm sorry I don't remember your name off the top of my head, was that it probably wasn't my area of expertise. And you were also correct in that. That is not my field. I am not a clinical psychologist. It's not what I study. But I do have a certain base level of knowledge of that stuff because, well, you know, I mean, it's important for all psychologists. Oh, shit, get over in the corner. Ah, damn it. Now we're screwed out of a devil deal. Here's the spot where you want to be safe from that. I don't think I was safe here. You're too close to this one. But if you're like right here, then you're safe. Ah, that sucks. Well, we did get a Joker card, though. So if we don't get a devil deal naturally, we will use the Joker card. Perfect. Well, let's hold on to the death card and we'll just make sure to use it. Okay. Okay. Perfect. And we'll just use it in the fight, I think. So we'll probably just go straight into this fight next. And then start to think about what we want to do with that baby. So it's not my area of expertise, but it is something that I am somewhat knowledgeable about. Probably, like, you know, more so than most people. So what do I know about this stuff, and what do I think would be interesting to you guys? There are a couple of things that I thought that I could probably tell you guys about that might be at least interesting to you. Again, like I said, I don't know everything about these topics, but essentially one of the big ones that I think is important is recognizing that kind of how diagnosis works. So what clinicians use in order to diagnose people, let's go ahead and just jump into our double deal. Yeah. This will be great. This will allow me to do all kinds of talking to y'all because I'm not going to have to pay attention to this game at all anymore. So diagnosis. All clinicians, as for their diagnostic criteria, use what is called the DSM. It's in its 5th edition now, the DSM-5, I believe. Again, it's been a while since I've taken those courses, but I believe DSM-5 is the one that we're currently on. And it is that DSM stands for the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual. So essentially, it is the manual created in order to give you all the criteria, the classification criteria for diagnosing a mental illness. Where is... Oh, that's right, it's in here. So... the thing about that is, one of the key necessary components of all diagnoses is, or at least mostly necessary. I think sometimes you can diagnose if you don't have this, if you do have, like, say, enough of the other criteria. But one of the key necessary criteria is that your mental disorder affects your everyday life. So like that's a part of the criteria. Like, it needs to affect you. I should have used it here because I would have been able to get that bomb. Oh well. Is there a bomb in the shop? Let's go check. So as a result, what this means is that you can have essentially all of the characteristics, all of the components, everything of anxiety, of depression. But if you're functioning well, if you're able to go to work, if you're able to, you know, do your job, if you're able to, you know, properly, you know, raise your family, whatever, all these things, then you're not going to be diagnosed because essentially you don't, it's not affecting you. Nice. All right, now we can go to a couple of other things. I think that might be it, actually. Yeah, we'll just go now. So the thing about that is that because of that, anxiety and depression, it's not just that you have to have it, but it's also that it has to interfere with your life in order for it to actually be diagnosed. So this also reflects something else that's very important here. So that I wanted to talk about with this topic, and that is that anxiety and depression, these are essentially extreme examples of basic human response and behavior. All right. Anxiety is an extension of your stress response system, a necessary component to keeping you alive. Your stress response system is what tells you when something is, you know, when a car is speeding at you at 100 miles an hour on the street and you see it, you know, coming right at you. That's what gets you to jump out of the way, right? Stress response is what keeps you alive. in dangerous situations. Anxiety is essentially that turning on too frequently. It's turning on in the face of lesser issues. The thing is, we all have, to an extent, basic anxiety, our stress system. It's just that when it becomes extreme, when it becomes excessive, that's when it becomes diagnosable. All right, we're going to skip that room. We're just going to go ahead and fight our boss, and then we'll also go look for our item room. So because of that, it's important to understand that depression and anxiety are essentially your body working similarly to other people's, just a little bit in more of an extreme fashion. It's more like a spectrum of depression, a spectrum of anxiety, rather than it just being, this is anxiety, this is depression, this is not, this is not. That's basically how it works. So because of that, I think that is a good thing to keep in mind when trying to think about these things. It doesn't make you other or different or deficient or anything like that to have depression or anxiety. It is just, that's kind of your body's way of dealing with emotions and things like that, okay? So, it's normal. It just kind of, for some people, it's worse than for others. And as a result, some people need to be treated for it. So that's the other part, is these things are very biological in nature. A lot of people look at many psychological disorders. They think, oh, this is in your head. This is something that can be treated just by talking through it, right? You just need to get your emotions handled or whatever, those kinds of things. I don't really want the body. Let's blow this up a couple times. Definitely don't want that. Let's go down a little bit on money. Sure, we'll take Little Brim, just because usually I wouldn't take Little Brim. I'm not a huge fan of Little Brim, but I just wanted to get moving and didn't want to waste all my bombs. All right, we're just going to go on to the next floor because we're a little bit behind, so I'd like to kind of catch back up. We could potentially do boss rush if we keep our pace up. All right, so depression and anxiety, normal extension of human behavior. For some people, it's more excessive. So it doesn't make you bad or deficient or weird or anything like that to have this. It's just kind of like that's how your body deals with these things. And they're biological in nature. All right, so stress, okay, like I said, it's a very innate human behavior. It's also the innate behavior of all animals in how they deal with environmental stressors, those things that are dangerous to you. And some individuals have it more extreme than others. There is nice guppy. There is an evolutionary advantage to having a range of members within your species that have more extreme and less extreme versions of all these kinds of base behaviors, all right? Basically, I should have kept that one with me, but whatever, we're just gonna use them all. So basically, if you think about it this way, stress tells you, when you have anxiety, it's basically telling you to activate the stress response in response to things that are more mild stressors compared to what other people are stressed about. However, let's say you're, an animal on, let's think, good old ancient times, you're on the savannah, and, you're an early humanoid. We are not going to reroll this whole run. And you, let's say, have the more anxious style of stress response. And you hear some rustling in the bushes, okay? You're going to freak out a little bit. You're going to look in that direction. You're going to be a little bit more vigilant about responding to what could potentially be a predator, all right? If it was a predator and you saw it, you'd run away. You'd be safe. You'd be good. If it wasn't, all right, your stress response activated but didn't actually really need to, so maybe it's a little extreme response, whatever. You're anxious, right? You have high anxiety. That happens, okay? But think about the other scenario. Think about being the one who doesn't have a stress response, but we'll take you. And there's rustling in the bushes, and you don't respond to it, and it does end up being a predator, a threat. You no longer are in the gene pool, right? You get eaten. You're no longer able to pass on your genes to others through, your offspring, and therefore that's been selected out. We're definitely taking 9 lives because we're almost guppy style. Come here, bruh. I mean, what do we need? We need one more guppy item after 9 lives? I just wanted to come in here first and see if I could spend a life before going and picking up 9 lives. Why did we get... Oh, because it was the Fallen. I was like, why did we get 9 lives in here? That's great. Okay, so stress is advantageous, okay? Depression is a little different. Okay, and that's okay. Let me finish that thought because I didn't fully finish the that discussion of stress there. So, stress and having a variety of stress responses within the gene pool helps to balance out that response to make it normalized over the whole, over the average of humans. Okay, Suicide King we are going to hold on to, but we're not likely to use. We're definitely going to grab Spoonbender. What are you? Justice. Let's just use it. Suicide King we'll wait to use if we start to lose lives. I don't want to lose all these awesome spirit hearts. So anxiety, by having a varied set, right, amongst your population, those who are too anxious, too overly anxious, they won't eventually, survive on the plains and everything like that because at the end of the day, you have to be able to move on through life, right? You have to be functional. You won't be able to feed yourself. You won't be able to do all that kind of stuff because you're always going to be stressed out, right? So, alongside that, those who are too under-stressed, who don't respond stressfully, they're going to succumb to the dangers of the environment because they don't apply stress when necessary. So you're going to have that variation amongst all species, all right? And again, it comes from a biological place. The place that stress comes from, we call it the HPA axis. It's this stress reactivity system. And that's, what it's doing is just responding to the environment. It's looking at and coding potential threats or opportunities in the environment and then giving you an emotion to go alongside it and tell you how you're supposed to respond. Okay? We'll think about this room. Did we already get our item room? We did, yes. Okay. So, anxiety is basically just extreme stress. Okay? Do we want chaos? Do we really want to throw this through a frickin' loop? Why not? Let's do it. What do we get out of it? Bomb and a key. Now all the items that we come across are just going to be ridiculous, but that's fine. YOLO, right? Just going to keep donating because I do need to get this back up to there. Okay, so what was I talking about with stress? Stress and anxiety. We're going to hold on to these last 5 cents. So, so it's a valuable overall tool, but what we call anxiety is essentially now in the modern age, we don't have a lot of the same threats that we used to, but biologically speaking, we still have the same exact bodies as our ancestors did 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, where our bodies are set up essentially to react to that harsh environment. So as a result, the types of stressors that we face in this modern world are not things that we evolved to deal with. Instead, it's an old, antiquated biological system trying to respond to a modern technological world. Okay? So, so beyond that, so that's stress, right? And it comes from a place of value. Depression is more about energy, all right? It's more about overall energy levels and how you're able to respond energetically to things. Luckfoot's great, and we're moving on to the next floor. I didn't drop... Okay, cool. It looked... I saw the 9 lives head behind me, and I thought that I had somehow dropped Guppy's head. All right, let's go ahead and... Oh, yeah! I don't even know if this even works with frickin' Brimstone, but maybe it'll just give me a nice damage up. That was wicked. Okay, so depression. Depression is more about like energy levels. It's about specifically like attentive energy. There's a part of your brain at the base of it. We call it the reticular formation. It's associated with attention. All right, paying attention with energy directed towards specific things. And it's what keeps you awake at its very base level. So any of you out there who might be depressed, you may be on medication for it. And you might have something called be taking an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And that is essentially attempting to properly align the levels of serotonin that are in your body, because at the root of it, depression seems to be, for the most part, due to disruptions in the serotonin system. It's this kind of necessary chemical that you need, and that some people just have lower levels of it, and as a result, they are more depressive on average. Again, oh, well, it's nice having you, Guppy, but we got to take Dad's key for obvious ending reasons. So, if you take... Whoa, So if you look at depression from that perspective, it's just about, again, varying baseline energy consumption levels, energy usage levels across people. It's a little bit harder to make an adaptive claim for that, and I don't know that there is any research into that. I know that on stress there is, but you could imagine that the value of that is that, once again, having that variation, that variance across people allows for the potential ability to have to use the least amount of possible energy while trying to keep yourself alive. And as a result, that in combination with your stress system is going to, okay, thanks, Ma, is going to be the best system for a species. So because these things, nice, we're going gup. We're going gup. It's valuable for a species to have these things. Yeah, we'll do it. Might as well. I mean, we got homing tears, right? With brimstone, with a whole bunch of damage ups and things. It's pretty good. And we're guppy now, so we're going to be spawning all kinds of shit. All right. That was dumb. It's fine, though. We're on permanent Polaroid, y'all. So, beyond that, like I said, the diagnostic part, it has to interfere with your everyday life, right? So most people vary on these spectrums. Most people have, a moderate level of anxiety, a moderate level of depression to some degree, or maybe one or the other, okay? Some of us shift back and forth, all right? We have a kind of a rhythm of our depression. So you may have heard of seasonal affective disorder, sort of a type of depression that is specifically associated with the change of the seasons. Now you might think, what is that? How does that make any sense, Bryce? Well, your body monitors the environment. Oh, it's the haunts. I was like, what is going on over here? Monitors the environment for light levels, produces a hormone called melatonin, and that melatonin helps to regulate your sleep cycle and a whole bunch of other systems. For some people, if they don't have the appropriate levels of melatonin released in their system, they become depressed. It gives them the same characteristics as depressed individuals. So, as a result, these people need, as far as for their therapy associated with it, instead of it being a pharmacological issue, often it comes down to a very physical issue. What you do is you get a light box, essentially, that produces UV light, and you sit in front of it all the time, essentially, so that... do I want to use the Suicide King? I think I might, since we got 2 of those on the ground. Let's do this. Get a bunch of stuff. Come back in here. We're going to have a couple of Spirit Hearts and all this stuff. Why not? Am I right or am I right? Got a rules card. Chubb just like smoke. That's lame. Okay. Well, didn't quite make out like a bandit there, but that's fine. Figured I'd take the challenge up. Maybe we'll get a couple more items out of it. Okay. So, now I've discussed a couple of different things that look like depression. Why am I shooting so slowly now? Did I get something that slows my... Oh, Eve's Mascara! Gotcha. I kept on trying to fire too soon because I forgot that I got Eve's Mascara, which is going to greatly lower my tier rate. That's fine. Or I thought it was shot speed that it lowers, but I don't know how that affects Brimstone. Brimstone, the way that it incorporates those different stats, I don't exactly know how it works. So, and this is the kicker. So I just described to you 2 different forms of depression that have different causes and thus have different potential courses of action in order to treat them. So, let's try this. No secret room there. Okay. So because of that, when it comes to actually diagnosing depression, they don't diagnose you by giving you chemical tests, checking your physiological state. They diagnose you by checking off symptoms. And then they try and treat you from there. And so the issue with that is that because a whole host of different causes could lead to what we call depression, right? This state of being depressed, that means that not all solutions are going to work for each problem. You're trying to treat the symptoms rather than the root cause of the disease. Now, I'm not being hypercritical of the psychiatry industry here because, or I say industry, field. I hate referring to those kinds of things as industries because it turns people into forms of commodity. But the field of psychiatry and pharmacological treatment, it's hard to figure these things out. There is no just like diagnostic test for depression, right? Because again, it can come from all different kinds of places. We are going to... I'm tempted to take these so that we can get back into permanent Polaroid. I'll take Latchkey. Why not? And do I do Hush? I'm just not in a Hush mood. I just don't like fighting Hush. It just takes so long. Because it can come from multiple different places, the course of determining your appropriate treatment is very difficult. And so for those of you who have ever tried to get your depression treated, diagnosed, all that kind of stuff, know that it is hard. It is hard to do that. And you shouldn't give up right away because you feel like, oh, they're not treating you properly or something like that. Like it is a difficult thing to identify. So there are reasons why it is hard to get you the right treatment. And I think the most important thing is for you to be treated, because these things, because they are physical and biological in nature, all right, they come from a place that you have no control over. They need to be treated in a physical manner. All right, they need to have pharmaceutical drugs used in order to treat them. If you just try and treat them by trying to do talk therapy and whatnot like that, for many people that does not work because that's not the root cause of their problem. That'd be like if someone had a broken leg and you asked them to talk to you about how that made them feel, having a broken leg. Sure, they can talk to you about it. They might feel better about it afterwards, having been able to talk about it, but at the end of the day, their leg is still broken. And so that's what you need to consider. I just wanted to see where this would take me. Just takes you back to the beginning? Okay. So, anyway. So, that discussion of depression there. So what's the long and short that I want to talk about with depression here and anxiety? These things are treatable. It is tough to properly diagnose them, but they are treatable. And it's something that I wholeheartedly believe in the treatment of. I wholeheartedly believe in mental health and well-being. So I do believe that, if you have a disorder like this, if you think you might have a disorder like this, go and see someone about it. Don't let someone tell you, that, oh, psychiatrists or psychologists are for crazy people, right? That's a thing that gets thrown around, which I find a little demeaning, offensive, awful. Because mental health is just as important as physical health and well-being. And a lot of it is physical in nature. We learn more and more every year how tied our body and our psychology is to one another. So there's no longer this debate of, is it psychology? Is it biology? Is it, nature? Is it nurture? We now know everything is a combination of all of those things. And so to not treat it that way is disingenuous. And ultimately, you're just going to have a lot of sad people around. You're going to have a lot of depressed people, a lot of anxious people, because these things need to be treated properly. So that's what I would say on all of that stuff. The hopeful part of it is that we get better and better and better at treating these things every year. We get better and better at noticing the smaller, minute differences between different forms of these disorders and diseases. And as a result, you have a greater chance now than you ever have had of being able to properly treat this stuff. And, personally, I think you should, So do that. And know that you're not alone. Know that plenty of people have these kinds of things. Like I said before, I haven't been diagnosed because, again, it doesn't affect my ability to carry out my work and everything like that. But I notice many of the characteristics of high anxiety in myself, and I deal with that on my own when it comes to it. I just, I have my own coping mechanisms in order to deal with it properly. And again, like I said, it's not extreme. It's not the kind of thing that affects me on a large scale. Nice! Gonna get spun! So just know that there are people you can talk to. There are people you can see in order to try and get these things treated. There are other people that you can talk to who have similar disorders as you do, if you have these disorders. And as a result, I think you totally should get them checked out. So We spent the past 20 minutes, roughly, talking about anxiety and depression, kind of downers of topics, I understand, but very important to talk about, as we've discussed here. Oh, man, I'm so slow on my charge time right now. Wow, double quarters. Crazy. So let's end on something a little bit more just kind of fun facty, fun, interesting stuff. So last time we talked a little bit about perception, about what did I talk about? No, I think maybe I didn't talk about it. Maybe I talked about adolescence. I can't remember. But perception is obviously one of my favorite topics to discuss. That's one of my favorite subjects of psychology. And do I want that? Maybe. If I pick it up, I can go and use the Guppy's paw again. The last thing I wanted to talk about is flavor, or a lot of people refer to it as taste. But that would be a misnomer. Yes, I am going to fight Mega Satan. I just wanted to come in here and crush Blue Baby real fast. What people call taste, right, the taste of a food that you like to eat, is kind of a misnomer when it comes to the field of perception, the study of that stuff. Because taste refers to the sensation felt on your tongue, all right? And taste is actually a very simple, it's very basic sense. It has basically 5 different categories: sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami, or savory, as it is known, also known. And those flavors, or those tastes, are all your tongue can sense. They can sense them all across the tongue in different areas of your mouth, but they predominantly, there are certain areas where there's concentrations of the different specific tastes. But obviously you, in your experience with eating things, have had a much more complex experience of flavor. And that happens actually because of what we call retronasal olfaction. So olfaction refers to your sense of smell. And in the... wow, I'm going to have to slow down here just so I can finish my little lecture. In the back of your mouth, there is a cavity that goes up into your nasal cavity. And this allows essentially air to move between your mouth and your nasal cavity, which allows your nose to smell what you're eating. Because the way that your sense of smell works is it takes tiny volatile chemicals that are floating around in the air, or in this case, inside your mouth. And when it detects those, that's what gives you the sensation of a smell. Now, when you do that while eating, it combines the two together in a part of your brain before you even perceive it. That gives you that experience. I'm going to just go invincible for a second so I can finish talking about this. So, with that, what we find is that, in fact, the air that is a part of your eating is very important towards your flavor sensation. It's what gives you those different profiles of flavor. So here's a little thing that you can do in order to experience this yourself. I got to finish this up really quickly. So here's a challenge. Today, I want you to go eat something, and when you eat it, the first thing I want you to do is plug your nose when you eat that thing, all right? What you're doing when you do that is you're preventing the airflow through and into your nasal cavity, because in order for air to move through there, it has to have a place to relieve the pressure, which goes through the front of your nose, okay? So you're preventing that if you plug your nose. What you'll notice is not a lot of flavor. Doesn't really taste very good, but you can still get the sensation on your tongue of like the saltiness, the sweetness, all these other things. My goodness, I'm about to die here because these explosions. Then what I want you to do is, much to the detriment of your mom's happiness here probably, is to eat with your mouth open. That's going to increase airflow across the tongue, across what you're eating. That's going to make the flavor much more powerful. Comparing that to the way you normally eat with your mouth closed, but with a little bit of air going through, and comparing that to the way that things taste when you have your nose plugged, you will clearly see that it is actually your nose that does most of the tasting. All right, y'all. Well, that was another little mini lecture on psychology with Price while playing some Binding of Isaac. I guess leave more questions for me down below. If this is something that you guys enjoy, I mean, obviously, like I said, this is something that I love doing. That was a crazy powerful run. Go Samson, go Brimstone, go all the awesomes. That was pretty friggin' walk in the park compared to the one I had earlier today. So with that, thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to give this video a like, a favorite, and subscribe to the channel. My name has been Price, and I will see y'all next time.